Hi, today we will look at how to configure 10 by 10 grid line offset in Pattern Keeper. All big charts have labels along the edges helping the cross-stitcher orient themselves and figure out which stitches go where, but not all designers are labeling the same. A very common practice is to label from the top left corner because for big charts many stitchers start stitching from the top left corner, but there are also many designers who number from the middle and outwards, and a couple who will number from the lower left corner. So let's see how to set that up in Pattern Keeper so that the 10 by 10 grids in Pattern Keeper line up with what the designer intended. So I'm going to open a chart that is supposed to be labeled from the center. I just imported it, so it's labeled with the default Pattern Keeper labeling, which is from the top left. To change that, I will click on the settings and then scroll down a little bit and click on the 10 by 10 grid settings. First, there are some settings, but before we look at those, I'm going to scroll down a little bit and look at the mock-up section. Here, we will get a tiny chart excerpt both from the PDF and from Pattern Keeper. So, as we can see from the PDF, it's labels starting at high values and then counting towards the middle, while we can see that Pattern Keeper is currently starting at 0 and counting upwards. So let's look at how to change that. Let's start with the horizontal settings, which is for the top edge. And we can see the grid offset is at 0, and that is actually what we need for this chart because it deals with full 10 by 10 sections. But just to demo it, if I for example set the grid offset to 3 and we scroll down and check, we can see that, well, now Pattern Keeper will start labeling from 3 squares in. So you can use this if it's not just the labeling that's in the wrong order, but if the actual lines are not drawn in the same place. But we don't need this for this chart, so I will put it back. But we need to change the ruler start value. As we can see in the PDF excerpt, the ruler starts at 140 and count downwards. We'll scroll down and check that we got it right. And as you can see now, the labels along the top actually match up. So let's do the same with the vertical labels. We can see that it should start at 180 and count downwards. So I will set the start value at 180 and the ruler counting direction as down, and then scroll down and check that it is correct, and it does look correct. So let's back out and check on the chart. And now we can see in the chart that it started at high values and counts down. So I will scroll out a bit and check on it, and yes, it counts down to 0 and then it will count up again. And just to be sure, I'll just zoom into the center of the chart and we can see that that is at 0. So, success! Sometimes you'll have to experiment a little bit with the numbers that you put into the settings, but since you have the mock-up portion, you can see directly the changes, so you know if you get it right or not. I hope that helps.